Hello YouTube and welcome to the Frooglesim news for today, Sunday, April the 10th, 2016. First up, Dovetail's flight school. Now after I called out Dovetail last week for not showcasing any in-sim footage of the very soon to be released and now available for pre-order flight school, we now have some. The video you're watching is the first in-sim footage of the upcoming flight school, and it really showcases scenery and environmental effects in particular. For example, you can see haze there are no muddy textures anywhere. Atmospheric scattering is also evident as distant scenery kind of fades out, as it should. I'm going to guess that the scenery you're looking at is all from Orbex as well, and it's very, very good as a result. A few people have noted that the video is a little jerky, but that's actually not unusual for footage from in-development products. Dovetail also now have their own YouTube channel where they've started to post up more and more content. Check it out. The link to the YouTube channel is in the show notes below, as is the full link to this Dovetail in-sim trailer for Dovetail Games Flight School. Next up, DCS World. A whole bunch of news in Ego Dynamics DCS World newsletter this week, so I'm just going to kind of group it all together. First up, the BF-109K4. Now this is another aircraft that's been in beta for a very long time, and Eagle this week announced that they are preparing to release the product out of beta. They have been working on bugs and fixes, as well as creating the interactive training missions and making sure all the procedures for things like engine start, taxi, takeoff and landing all work the way they should. The newsletter also mentioned the DCS Spitfire and the DCS Normandy 1944 maps. The Spitfire is coming along really well, including an accurate simulation of the pneumatic system for brakes and flaps, and this is a first for DCS aircraft to feature such a model. Over in the Normandy map, the team are currently focused on building out the various airfields, complete with different surface textures, which again is a first within DCS World, and this allows the map to include things like temporary airfields that the Allies built during World War II, following the Normandy landings. Finally, there's a big update on the Bell Simtech F5E Tiger II. The 3D cockpit is now in place, and all aircraft systems are simulated to a high level of detail. They've even included a new engine compressor model. The aircraft will also feature working radar, optical sight, jettison systems and weapon systems, as well as a professional flight model that accurately handles stalls and spins. It is expected to go into early access very soon indeed. More information probably on the DCS World forums, and I've linked DCS World's main site in the show notes below. Next up, SimStarter NG. Now, Aerosoft released this week SimStarter NG, and it's not the kind of tool that I would typically cover, since on the surface it's just a config loader and a startup tool for FSX and Prepared. But this one has a few tricks up its sleeve that have me very excited, to the point that this morning, prior to recording this show, I bought it. SimStarter NG not only lets you set up configuration profiles for the sim based on what you do, like filming stuff, flying VFR, flying online, and so on, but it can also turn on and off liveries, scenery objects, and even DLLs to get loaded. I understand from the post on the Aerosoft forums that it can also interface with ActiveSky Next and change the weather engine settings there, as well as starting up other external applications you may need when you go flying. For example, if I'm doing a fully loaded video, I typically turn off all minor airfields, I run up the Avlosoft EFB as well as ActiveSky Next, while for VFR flights I might add more weather layers, less complex airfields, that is to say like Gatwick, and more regional ones. I don't start the EFB, but I might turn on traffic. SimStarter NG would let me do all of that with a single click, which is pretty cool. We've had startup tools in the past. This one does genuinely look to offer something a bit different. Do go and read the post on Aerosoft's forums linked in the show notes below and see what you think. The price is just €12.56, and it supports all versions of FSX and Prepared. Next up, FS Dream Team's Memphis. FS Dream Team have been showcasing some of the features of their upcoming Memphis airport, including how it handles wet weather. The video you're watching, for example, shows the ground at the airport remaining wet after rain and then drying out. I don't think I've seen that before in the sim, so that's pretty cool. Memphis itself is a FedEx hub, so FS Dream Team have also posted shots on Facebook showcasing some of their static aircraft at the airport, all of course sporting FedEx liveries. The airport itself does look to be shaping up very well indeed. I am a big fan of FS Dream Team, and I have a number of their products, including of course GSX. So I'm looking forward to this releasing so I can start some FedEx 777 flights in and out of Memphis. More information at the Facebook link in the show notes below. No news on a release date or a price, but I personally expect the scenery to release for both FSX and Prepared and probably fit in with their usual pricing structure, which would put it between, say, $35 and $40. Next up, the Alibi O Chieftain. Alibi O have been posting teaser shots of their upcoming Chieftain to Facebook. Also known as the Navajo Chieftain, the PA-31 is a twin-engined aircraft from Piper designed for the GA market. The Chieftain is the stretched version, with more powerful 350 horsepower Lycoming engines, a range of over 1,000 miles and a top speed around 230 knots. Not much in the way of information outside of the few screenshots which show the usual beautiful Alibi O modelling and texturing. The shots though do imply HD textures, typically 4K resolution when they say that. Support for the Flight 1 GTN 750 and 3D sound. No news on price or release date, but as always with Coronado and Alibi O, I expect this to release first for FSX and P3D, and then a few months later for X-Plane 10. More information on the Alibi O Facebook page linked in the show notes below. Next up, Orbex Telluride. This is a coming soon Orbex Telluride Regional Airport. It's a very well-known airport. Telluride is a high-altitude airport in the Colorado Rockies. Telluride is being developed by Jared Marshall, the same chap that made Eagle Vale, Sedona, and Jackson Hole, among others, and the scenery covers 1,250 square kilometers, including the San Juan Mountains, the towns of Telluride, Mountain Village, Ouray, and Silverton. Telluride also has unique static aircraft that fit the airport, custom land class and vector data, and seasonal textures. No idea again of a release date or price on this, but it is a great complement to Sedona and Eagle Vale and will be available for all versions of FSX and prepared at release. And finally, but kind of tying in with the Orbex story, Aerosoft Aspen Extended. Aerosoft this week released Aspen Extended, which falls very nicely in line with the Orbex Telluride news. Aspen Pitkin County is another high-altitude airport in the Colorado Rockies and features a one-way runway, so no matter what the wind and weather conditions are doing up there, you are always landing in just one direction, which can make approaches a little bit challenging, in addition to the fact that it's built right into the mountains. This is a full rebuild from the ground up of Aerosoft's previous Aspen scenery released in 2007 and features 100 square kilometers of photoreal scenery, a 5-meter mesh covering an additional 2,400 square kilometers of the Rocky Mountains, accurately modeled points of interest including the hospital and emergency helipad, Aspen High School, Chapel, Recreation Center, and Hotel Jerome. I have some concerns about this one in terms of how it's going to run when paired up with other Orbex scenery for the region. For example, with that mighty mesh they've got there, 2,400 square kilometers of mesh covering the Rocky Mountains, that kind of overlaps with what's happening with Telluride and what previously happened with Eagle Vale. So don't know about that. Anybody? The price is $21.31 for both FSX and prepared version 3. More information at the Aerosoft link in the show notes below. That's it for this week. Thank you so much for watching. If, as always, I missed something, please leave me a comment in the comment section below and I'll take a look and see if it's worth including in next week's show. Until then, though, my name is Frugal and I'll see you very soon.